What's up, Candy Ken? What's up, Baby J? How's it going?
Not today.
Candy Ken and Baby J.
It's Candy Ken.
Welcome to the Candy Ken Show.
All right, everybody, we are back on the Candy Ken Show, and we have our first musician ever. I am so excited. Bonavega, everybody.
Bonavega.
Thank you for having me.
Go.
What's going on?
Man, we are so excited. We were just diving into it. We were listening to your music on the way here,
Hell yeah.
rock and rolling it out. And I don't listen too much rock, but your stuff really gets me fired up.
Yeah, it's really funky. I like it. I like it.
And your voice is like really good.
Dude, thank you so much. Well, I definitely have a rock, like big rock influences, but I do try to like keep it, modern and kind of dancey, but always have that like roots of rock, That's at least the goal. So, but yeah, I appreciate that. Also, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. I thought the ice bath would be in here.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! Imagine we had like each guest, in
Bro,
the ice bath first,
yeah.
and then podcast.
Bro, it's really hard to talk after the ice bath. I have noticed because
really?
we were shooting a reality TV show. I got into the ice bath, and then after it takes me like an hour sometimes to not shiver anymore. So it's like really bad actually for the pod.
right, for sure.
But that's another aspect I really love about you is like the working out, the fitness. You seem to be like very on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a central part of my life now. And then it kind of accidentally became part of my act. Because like I've been out in LA doing music for about 10 years. And I just remember like kind of when I first moved here, I was actually like learning how to perform by like going to like open mics and stuff. And I remember so I would just be like experimenting and trying stuff out. And I remember the first time I went out on stage and I kind of felt like I was losing the crowd a little bit, and so like spontaneously I just like ripped my shirt off, and like everybody went crazy, and so I was like, okay, that's a bit that I need to do every time.
Yeah.
So then once I was like, okay, apparently stripping is going to be a part of my thing. I was like, I need to start like really getting into the working out, which I had always been, but like I just really ramped it up after that. So
yeah,
and obviously you as well. Obviously, it's a big part of you.
Definitely, which inspired me actually for my outfit today. You can not really see it, but I got really inspired by your fishnet that you rip on stage. So I dressed up in fishnet today
If we're lucky, you'll rip it off.
Yeah, if you're lucky, at the end of the show, I'll rip it off. Definitely. That's a good idea, actually. I like that. Especially the stripping kind of part also was always a part of like Candy Can. And I also like felt like you need to do like, these musicians are mad boring. Like you gotta like step it up and do some crazy shit on stage.
For sure.
And I always bring like kind of like fireworks or like confetti cannons. Man, that shit goes hard too. Like something that explodes.
Yes.
Fire.
It's so funny that you bring that because I'm kind of in the works of coming up with my next like show idea. Like we kind of do like basically like low key like DIY like rock operas. So it's like music, but there's usually like a narrative that goes throughout. And I always try to have some sort of like big set piece. So like at one point I had like this like 8-foot tall like wooden crucifix that I would like crucify myself on, and then like I had like currently I have like this big like cage that I break out of at one point. But my next thing, I think I need to get into pyro. I definitely need to get into like fire or like those cannons that you're talking about. So
even if it's a sparkler, I used to just like have those like candle sparklers in my mouth like as a cigarette or something, and I would like walk out with it. Anything like that. I'm
gonna have to hit you up about that for the details, because that's definitely in the works for the next thing. So
man, and then researching you, I found out you also like come from like a small town. I really want to hear like your struggle, and like because like like there's so many people that are always like dreaming of the life in LA and like dreaming to be themselves and express themselves, and then you have somebody like you who expresses themselves like on the highest level, so much energy, so much like raw. Like, I don't give a fuck about what other people think about me. I jump on, like, you jumped on the American Idol stage.
Yeah.
And I just love that you, like, man, like, that takes balls, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, dude. Yeah. It was America's Got Talent. And that was a really, that's a whole nother thing. But, like, as far as coming from Ohio, are you from a small town?
I'm from a small town called, nobody knows this, Bregenz. It's like a tiny 20,000 people town in Austria.
Okay.
And very conservative, rules and rules and rules. And if they used to like call me Lady Gaga and like made photos about me and laughed at me, and I just got so much. I was in this like role that they put up on me
Yeah.
for so long, for like 20 years, that Candy Can was always like an expression out of that, and like kind of like a middle finger to all the rules and all the like normal people. And like I have this big need to express myself like crazy because I come from this small ass town who never allowed me shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many people that have it in them. They feel there's more to life and there's more to me, and I want to color my hair and I want to go crazy and do this and that. And it's just so inspiring to see somebody like you from Ohio, I heard.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
To do it. And like, what was the the point where you were like, no more, or were you like always dressed like this? I don't think so. Right? Like,
No, I mean, well, first of all, I'm so happy that we're meeting finally, because that story sounds very similar to mine.
Yeah.
Where, just super conservative, very hyper religious upbringing, and town, really the whole town. The whole town, yeah. The whole town was just extremely religious, and I mean, I guess that's kind of all of the Midwest, like anywhere outside of the coast, right, is kind of like that.
bro, even when I go an hour outside of LA, people look at me funny.
Exactly.
And like they're like, oh my God, your car
Yeah.
is crazy. What do you do? Even like when you leave LA just a little bit, people get crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So how was it to like grow up there?
And the thing is that it's one thing to, like, I have no problem with someone who like, and I'm sure you agree with this, but like, I don't expect everybody to just want to walk around in makeup and G-strings and fishnets. But it's when you get the people who are against it and who want to, like you said, have rules and put you in. That's where it's like, that's where we like are like giving the middle finger to, because it's like it feels good to express ourselves against those people. But and a weird thing is, it's kind of a catch-22, because people like us kind of need people like that, because we need someone to rebel against, and they need someone to put their stake and say, no, that's wrong. So it's like this weird relationship that's like a love-hate thing, where we kind of need each other.
Absolutely.
Which I've come to get there, because at first it was like, basically I was like super religious until I was like 24 years old, 25 years old. And so
like Catholic?
it was like evangelical Christianity, like very like, which it's pretty brainwashy. I mean, extremely brainwashy, kind of like all of them. And I remember when I first got out of that, I was like super resentful, super angry. So it's taken a while to get to a place now where it's like, well, to that kind of that healthier mindset of like, well, we do kind of need each other in this weird way. And I definitely wouldn't be who I am now if I hadn't have had this fucked up upbringing. Oh, can I swear on this?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I would, if I hadn't have had the upbringing I had, I wouldn't be who I am now. So it's like, you have to just lean into it and be okay with it. But roundabout way, I can't remember exactly the question, but
I always say if everybody was dressing like crazy, I would probably be in a suit. Because like you said, when I started Candy Can, I always like, you kind of like look at everybody and like almost do like the opposite of what everybody's doing. Like when it's makeup only for girls, you're like, okay, makeup is kind of cool. Or you're like weirdly attracted by like the things that are like forbidden almost.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But you did it, and
why is that, you think? Why do we get attracted to the thing that's like that we're not supposed to do? Is it like a I feel like it's like a deep, like, natural thing that we don't like authority. Like we want like our freedom, we want our anonymity, we want to be able to do, like it's interesting, because I have that same thing where it's like if someone didn't say don't do that, then I wouldn't even have thought of it. But then once you say like, oh yeah, well you can't do that, then I get real weird,
Man, this is I've always wondered about this, like what you just said about like you need the opposite. You kind of like almost need all the sheeps so you can be like the black sheep and stand out. But also, like I always say, like my hometown was part of why I have to express myself so hard and why I have to be Candy Can is because I grew up in such a crazy, strict place. And sometimes I feel like if I would have been born in like LA or New York, I would have not really had that, which is kind of sad. And it needs them. So it's like a yin and yang. And I feel like it needs us as it needs the sheeps. So it's like a giving and taking, and it's
Right.
important for both parties. I just have a problem with the people that wanna be like us and are afraid of it. Because I, like you said, I have no problem with people working a 9 to 5, dressing normal, even suits. I love suits sometimes.
Right.
You know, not all the time, but sometimes I like when we were doing those Sigma bits, I was wearing my suit and it feels like a costume to me. It feels
Right.
like sick. Like I'm like all preppy and all like bossy and shit. It's like another character that I like dive into, and I love switching it up and being not a unicorn every day. And I obviously don't want everybody running around in a Speedo and like wearing makeup every day. But I feel like the people that want to and hide it, that's where I'm like so sad. Like I want to inspire people and like people watching this to be like, yo, like they do it. They're from a small town. They did it. I can do this too. Like,
Totally.
you know, like, because like there's so many people that want to, but they're like, no, what are my friends gonna think? What is my mom gonna say? Right? Am I gonna be abandoned? Do I have any friends? When I decided to be Candy Ken, I was like, maybe I'll never find my love, or maybe I'll never get a job again. Maybe I'll lose all my friends. Maybe my family is gonna be like, fuck that. But when I decided it, I was like, I'll rather go down as Candy Ken as to like never tried it and like die a basic bitch and that's it. Like,
I love that.
what's the point of life if you're not yourself? Like that's the only thing you can do.
And the thing is, you find out once you start really tapping into your like authenticity, you're more happy regardless. And even if you were alone and didn't have friends and all, if you were being yourself, you're going to be more fulfilled and happy anyways. But of course, you're always going to find people who are attracted to that and want, and you build a new family or whatever around this thing that's like authentically you. So I think that's beautiful. That like, and I think the idea that, like you said, like it's as much, and I have the same thing where as much as it feels good to like, oh, I'm rebelling against the thing, it's like it's less about them and more about trying to be inspirational to people who want to just tap into their thing. And it may not be fishnets and makeup, but it's like, I've kind of said this before, but it's like if I'm like, shredding guitar in a G string, like that's like a 12 on the spectrum of things that you could do that might be a little bit like, awkward or weird. So even if like the thing you want to do is just like, get a job that you're going to go interview for, or, plan a thing that like you're afraid. It's like if you see the most extreme version, then you can like certainly do the thing that's like a little bit less. And so it's kind of fun to be like at that extreme side of it. And just that thing of like, yeah, you can't give a fuck about what people think or what, it's like that's as soon as you start doing that, or as soon as you start making choices based on like, well, especially creatively, like what's people gonna like or what are people gonna, it's like you just have to do what's authentic to you and just keep riding that ride, and people are gonna jump on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you completely lose yourself. Once you do one thing to be likable, bro, before you know it, you wake up, you're a completely different person. And I've even dated people that created a persona that is based on like likeness, and they got so deep into it they can't even go back out, because as soon as they switch, people are like, yo, what the fuck, like you're supposed to be this, and they're like, oh, okay, so they cannot step out of that anymore, and they are caught in now this persona that is not them. That's why I feel like most people, like the dating and the marriages and all that shit doesn't work out, because you're pretending to be someone you're not, and then the person like kind of notices that, or even is pretending themselves, and then both partners are like, yo, what the fuck, like you're not who you are, and I don't want to date that.
I think that, I think relationships, like dating relationships, is one of the most interesting thing, or dating or marriage, whatever it is, like intimate partner relationships. I feel like there's a huge swath of people who aren't truly being themselves and are changing, and obviously sacrifice some things to, here and there, like to be a normal compatible person with somebody else. But I think a lot of people sacrifice so much of themselves, pretty quickly, when it comes to like, you start dating, you're on your best behavior, and then as soon as like, a few months go by, all of a sudden you start just altering yourself. And I mean, we've all seen it with friends where they start becoming completely different people and not interested in the same things they're not used to be interested in. And like, I think it's so important that if you really like on this level, like when you really like love somebody and you're like in a partnership living situation with them, you should just want them to be an individual. As much as like you guys are a partnership, it's like the most important thing is to keep their individuality, because that's probably the thing that you fell in love with to begin with. And so I've had experience with that where it's like, and I've had both. Unfortunately, obviously I've been young and went through a bunch of relationships that were weird, and and you made all the wrong decisions. But then like later in life, you get to the point where you're like, if I'm falling in love with this person and attracted to this person, I want them to keep that as much of that thing that is them as they can. And I'm not going to get in the way or try to restrain that.
Absolutely. So I have to dig back on this. Like, what was the changing point for you where you decided to be Bonavega? Like, is there like a specific thing that happened or
a day or something? Like,
Because
when were you like, okay, I'm done. I'm leaving Ohio, right? I'm leaving Ohio. I'm coming to LA. And also, what came first? Makeup, because I saw on your page you also are really cool with makeup, and music. Like, which one of those were like the first ones to come to your attention?
Music was the thing that was like ingrained in me from the beginning, and I would have these. And I'm sure you guys have had it where like you hear a song for the first time that just blows your mind, and you kind of get that like crazy like feeling over your, like your whole body will buzz from it when you hear that like new song. And I remember being a kid, and I was again kind of restricted to certain things. I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of different kinds of music, and so I remember like going to the library with my parents, and they would go into the library, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll just stay in the car, and then I'd be able to listen to the radio, which was like insane that like I wasn't really allowed to listen to like a lot of radio stations. So that'd be like my time to like secretly listen to, like the classic rock station, but like I would hear music and it would just blow my mind. And like, I knew that I was like, I couldn't, really quantify it then, but I just knew like, I was like, I must be involved in this and somehow. And so then obviously went on to like learn guitar and blah blah blah. So the music definitely came first, and then once I moved to LA, like I said, I actually moved to LA and I was like fully a Christian. And so it was really weird. Like but it's like somehow I knew I had to get out of Ohio, but I think it was like this like deep like subconscious thing that was like, get the fuck out of Ohio. And then once I got out of that bubble, I was able to zoom out and be like, okay, what's going on with this religion thing? And I remember you were asking if there was like a particular moment. I remember watching some like YouTube video. I think it was called like it's probably still on there. It's called I think it was called the Zeitgeist, and it was like there was like a lot of like conspiracy. Like there was like a 9/11 conspiracy section. There was like a global money section, and then there's a religion section. And in this religion section, it like just kind of gave the history of like it basically was just like, look, the Jesus story. The like I don't know how much of the Jesus story you guys know, but the Jesus story of like having like 12 apostles and working miracles and dying, virgin birth, all these like insane things that we like are like, oh yeah, that sounds totally normal. Virgin birth, dying on the cross, raising from the dead. That story was passed down for like hundreds of years that predated Jesus. So like there were hundreds of like Egyptian gods that had that exact same story. And so it was like clear that like, and they were all predated Jesus. So it's like clearly the story was just passed down. And I'd never been taught that. So it was like this very like simple thing that like I had always been told that, oh, well, the Jesus story is very unique to Jesus and that's why it's the one. And then I just kind of, upon watching this weird video, did my own research then. And like my mind was just blown. And I felt like the Truman Show, when he starts to like put it together and he's like starts like completely losing his mind. I literally had that moment. And for a while it was like, I mean, it was a major mind fuck,
Bro, I actually watched that too. And I was like, I don't know, 16.
Yeah.
And I brought that. We only had it on like a USB stick because it was like kind of like nobody knew if this was like legal or not. So I brought this shit to my school and I made the teacher play that in front of everybody.
God.
Because I was like you. I was like, yo, I just found out what this is all about.
Yeah.
Like that they explain money, they explain religion, they explain everything, right? So I brought this stick. The whole class watched it, and my teacher had no words. And I don't know what happened after that, but like they try to like just push it off and be like, this is conspiracy theory.
Right.
But like Elon Musk just tweeted the other day, every conspiracy seems to be true. And I think like religion is like there's so much cool stuff, and then people are just like they take it to another level and they make a lot of like crazy shit out of it. And I always have problem with people being so sure about like that they know, and they almost abuse the power of God when we all know that there's like more purpose and there's something bigger that we cannot explain, and nobody knows by the heartbeats and the universe. And I mean, there's so much thing we cannot explain, which leads us to like there has to be God, but then this word has been abused too, and like it and like you said, Jesus' story is so incredible. But then there's people on earth, and they use it for their purpose and for being good for them, and it becomes this powerful tool, and it's really bad sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's so many wars that have been fought over religion, and there's when you look it up, I just heard this on the Joe Rogan podcast that even in the Bible it says like don't quote me on this, but like it says things about like that slavery is okay and things like that, which just makes it like for the person it benefits the person who wrote the Bible.
Right.
And sometimes he says that these stories have been like people on mushrooms actually writing these down and having these crazy intergalactic experiences and seeing these like higher powers and aliens or whatever you want to call it. And then they wrote it down. And so like different religions started to create themselves. And it's crazy that you have such an upbringing. I think like my town was religious too, but not in that extent. And yeah, we did pray in school a lot, but not. So you come to LA, and then what happens?
So I got here. I started working at a restaurant just to pay the bills, and I started going to open mics.
And your parents were like fine with you just leaving?
Well, at that time, yeah. Well, I mean, they obviously were like they were at that time. They were supportive. Also because I was still a Christian at this point, and I was just like, look, and they knew that I had like a musical ability, so they were like supportive. They were obviously like sad to see me go, but they were like happy that I was like gonna go try to find music. And so my plan was actually to come here and just be a guitar player in a band. Like I was like, oh, I'll just go find a band who needs a guitar player. And so I got here, and I remember going up to this place called the Baked Potato up in North Hollywood, and I went to like their jam session night, like bring your axe and shred with the people. And so I show up. This is like after like 2 weeks of being here. I show up with my guitar, and like these guys are like, it's LA, so these guys are all like studio musicians, just insanely talented. And so like that night, I realized, I think I like sat in and played. I can barely remember, but I remember that night I was like, okay, so if I want to be a guitar player out here in a band, I'm like, I have to like solely focus on guitar. And so I realized kind of immediately that I was like, okay, that's not exactly what I want to do. So that's when I kind of started going to open mics and just kind of pursuing the like solo artist thing, where like I was actually writing songs that were a bit more like in the pop genre, and then I would bring my guitar with me and always have like a guitar moment with them. But then that's where like the process of just like learning how to perform happened. I feel like I liken it to kind of how like stand-up comedians will, go to open mics and just try out new material. Like the first few years out here was me just like basically eating shit and like trying really wacky shit and like it kind of connecting, it kind of not, but just learning about the things like, okay, like I said, like ripping the shirt off, that works. Do that every time. You know what I mean? Like, I learned a lesson actually recently that I'd never done this, but I got real excited at a show the other day and I like threw water into the crowd. And like I felt everyone would be like, "Oh fuck!" Like no one liked it, because like they're like dressed nicely to see you. And I was like, "Wow, I can't believe 10 years and I just learned a new lesson." Like, I'm like, unless you're Ozzy Osbourne, do not throw water into the crowd. It was like, so if you were there, I'm very sorry, but yeah. So I just kept performing and just trying different weird shit out, and also like slowly getting better at songwriting and slowly collaborating with other musicians, meeting people, meeting songwriters. And now it's like I have a really nice circle of super talented musicians, writers, producers, and who are all generous enough with their time to like, who like get, and same for like makeup artists and all these people who like see the vision and are like hooking their thing to their wagon to my cart and really helping. And so it's a collaborative thing. Which is so beautiful,
And the style came from one day to another, or slowly, like your style?
I was always into. No, it definitely has morphed and changed over the years.
Yeah.
But there's always been that, like I said, there's always been that through line of like 80s rock. But I always try to keep it modern and dancey, and I feel like. But I was also thinking about literally today, like before I was coming in here, I was thinking about this, and it was like nowadays the music scenes, especially out here, is like the wild wild west. Like we don't need record labels anymore. You can do it all yourself. You can promote your own shit. You can blow up on your own. And I even feel like genre wise, a lot of my stuff recently has been like all over the place genre wise. And it's like, I think it's okay, like, because we all have a vast interest in music. We all like, we go I like from classical to, hard, like heavy metal rock. Like I like this like huge spectrum of music. So recently I was like, if one artist can kind of like tap into little bits, and there's obviously a through line that I have, but I kind of just am like, when I fuck around and produce something, it's like, what am I into? It's like, I just go based on feeling, and opposed to putting myself in a box of like, well, you're the 80s rock guy, so you got to stick to that. It's like, there's no rules, you know what I mean? It's like, what if you, nowadays where make one song that's hard rock, make another song that's more of a ballad, you're gonna hit different audiences for different things. So that's been kind of like a goal of mine recently, is just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, we listened to like one pop song, and then the other ones were more rock and roll.
Yeah,
like the Shark one.
Yeah, Shark Attack.
Yeah, and the Pleasure, and
then I saw the Gym Rat one.
Oh,
that was
Gym
cool
Rat.
one.
Yeah.
what was the other one? The Pleasure.
Oh, Pain and Pleasure.
Pain and Pleasure.
Yeah.
That's like a really beautiful, like more pop. I feel like, right?
Yeah, and definitely more like an emotional like ballad. Yeah. But I'm kind of on that wave right now, like the Shark Attack, the Gym Rat, like that, like kind of like heavy, like really like I don't know if it's like post pandemic energy where I'm just like everybody's kind of like it's time to go. We make up for lost time kind of thing. So yeah, I've definitely been in like the harder rock vibes recently.
Amazing. And then like, what would you like say to like people that like live in Ohio or in a small town, and they're like afraid and scared? Like, what helped you to like pack your bags and go to LA? Like, it's crazy, no?
I think, well, even like I did, even make an excuse for yourself that fits into if you're living in a box that you're that's maybe like a little bit of a fear-based thing. You can always find a reason that's in that box to at least get out, and just do one thing to point your ship in that direction. It's not like, oh, I need to go get my makeup done and walk around in a G-string. You don't have to go from 0 to 1,000. You know what I mean? Just if you have that like deep seated feeling that's like kind of gnawing at you, which I know you probably had, and I know I had. Just like I said, do one thing that fits into the box, and like a little secret, that's like, you kind of know where the ship's going. You know the end of the journey, but nobody else will, and you can kind of at least just start heading that way.
And then, did you start like losing like how's your like friend, like the friends and the family, and like was that tough or?
Yeah, I definitely had. I had a friend group who, I haven't really talked to them in a while. I mean, there were a few that were definitely in like the religious camp. So once I had that like hard turn away from religion, I think there were a few people where we like tried to keep it going. We tried to keep that friendship alive, but then we did realize like it's pretty tough when your worldview is completely opposite. And I'm not saying like you can't have a conversation with somebody or like be amicable with someone who has opposite views of you. Like I think that's really important, and a really important thing right now is to be able to relate to people, even if they don't believe every single thing you believe. Like you got to at least be able to have like a nice conversation with someone, opposed to like how it is on the internet can be like pretty gnarly, but having like a deep, intimate friendship with people that have like these like really like pillars that are completely opposite of you, I found it kind of difficult, so people did kind of fall by the wayside. And yeah, family for sure. I mean, so like I said, as you were asking, like my family was definitely like, they were like supportive when I moved out here. but then once I really started like, well, like I was saying, like the crucifix thing, once I like lost my religion, I actually went back to them, like kind of, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, being like, guys, I learned this information, like I think we've been like sold a crock of shit, you know what I mean? Like this religion thing, I think we've been sold a lie. And so I went back with like really like heartfelt emotion, like, because obviously I love my family. And so like I went to them, and especially my parents in particular, who like were the kind of like driving force of the religion. And I was like, what do you guys think about this information? Like, I think maybe we were duped, kind of thing. And they met it with, with understandably, now I can see how it is understandable, but like, they basically just had their talking points to refute everything. And that was like kind of the moment where I was like, okay, I think I'm going to have to put up a bit of a boundary between this, because if they can't see like how clearly I can, like, for me, it was like I was looking through like a glass wall, and then that shattered, you know what I mean? And like now there's no way to put that wall back up, that like weird religious filter back up. There's no way. It's like I can never go back to seeing it that way. And it seemed so crystal clear to me. So I was like, well, if they can't see this, and they're like, older, and like they're probably never going to see it. And so I did have to kind of put a bit of a emotional boundary, between them. So yeah.
But you still have connection.
I do very, light connection, but it's pretty surface level when we do,
And then when you go to Ohio?
I don't visit. Yeah, no.
When was the last time you visited? Because it's always crazy when you go back to your hometown.
Yeah.
And you still, like, let's say you don't change a thing and you just walk in, like how we are right now. It's almost a little dangerous, I would say, because in LA I feel very safe, and like nobody fucking turns their head if I walk out like this. No. I just changed the car. Nobody cares.
No.
But if I walk in Austria like this, there's this is weird, but like people they get like almost aggressive because you question their like life or persona so much. They feel almost offended by your appearance. And they always like they always called me like a provocateur. Provocateur?
Yeah. Like you want to provoke them.
But yeah, and I never wanted to provoke anybody. I'm all about like love and like being free and a unicorn. There's nothing provocative about me at all. Yeah. It's just so provocative because they're so basic. It hurts. Like it's crazy.
Right.
So you don't go back.
I don't go back. And it is about like, I think part of the when they see somebody, like you walking around, it's an infringement on their belief system. And you got to imagine the thing that's so scary about the religion thing is that we're talking life and death. We're talking like eternity in hell and heaven. This isn't like just like simple like, oh, well, I believe that like God created the earth. It's like, if you don't believe this, you're like, it's like an eternity in hell. Like this is the thing and then this is what they're putting into children's brains. Like they're telling this to a child who's just now, coming into this earth and like learning about the basics of this world. They're already talking about eternity, and you don't want to burn in hell. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like dark, deep shit. So, but when they, you're the walking, you're the poster child for like that thing, right? That like, oh my God, the other, the thing that they're taught, is gonna give them that eternity in hell. So, which obviously we know is not the case, but it's like it's a very loud representation of like what they feel is like completely against them. So I kind of get why, I get why they have that strong backlash. Like now I can be like, oh well, of course they're gonna backlash against it, but it's way more fun not to. It's more fun to like actually accept it and go for it,
Absolutely. So
but you were saying I don't go back to Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't go back to Ohio.
But like that hurts, or do you want to go back, or
I don't have I mean, it would be nice to, I think it would be nice if I had a nice relationship with my family to where I could go and connect with them, but I'm now to the point where I realize like I don't think that's going to happen. And so yeah, at first it was a bit of a loss, and like there was definitely pain around that. But I think I've built such a great family out here now. You know, I really, you know, I think about this a lot, or at least I did for a while, and I don't think it's just me being like, no, I'm good. I don't feel any pain about it. You know, like I really think I think I've come to a new place where I'm like, I can understand why they live that way that they do, because they're, you know, the way their brains work. It's like and I don't take it personally that they, you know, are against some of the decisions I make. Of course, if they had some like awakening moment and they wanted to like reconnect in a deep way, I would love that. But it doesn't hurt, you know.
But isn't it so crazy how you're like, hey, I have this information. What do you think about it? And they're like, hey, if you don't do this, you'll burn in hell.
Right.
I mean, seems like a little. It's just so tough because like I feel like most people, they don't even get out of their hometown.
Yeah.
Right. Like my parents, they're born there and they're still there. And I feel like especially the older generation, they never made it out of their hometown. And I know that Baby J's parents been living in like the same apartment like since 30 years or something. So to think that you're gonna leave and then maybe never come back seems like extreme, like crazy, right?
Right.
So, and then to lose some sort of like connection, it seems like just much easier to just be like everybody else, because there is sacrifice and it takes a certain kind of person to stand up to that and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like you're just differently made? I always wondered about like, why do you have those outbreakers out of society a little bit, and why does not everybody do that, right? Like,
yeah, I know, and I wonder. I know, isn't that weird? Like
I don't really have an answer, but like I feel like there's some sort of thing, or somebody like pushed you a little bit,
just a little bit too far.
Yeah,
you know. And I honestly, I mean, I think for me it was, I had so many rules, so much repression from an early age in every direction. Like there was no giving at all, that it just all boiled up and then eventually just exploded. Where it's like, ultimately for people like my parents, if they had just given just a little here and there, I would have actually been, you know, it's like this weird, like for them, they literally like honestly created the thing that they were most fearful of me becoming, you know what I mean?
That's crazy. I feel like the same.
You feel that?
Yeah, I feel
it's like the Eminem thing, no? Doesn't he say like he stacks up the pain and then he writes this like rap song? And now that he I'll never forget. I read this thing about Eminem saying like his first album, when it was like All or Nothing, that was like the most exciting. And after that, like every other album, like when you don't have to fight, it's different than when you have to fight. Like when you stack up the pain, and you express yourself and you fight.
Like that's a crazy way of thinking about it. Like I feel like everything that my mom was like so scared about me doing in LA is literally exactly what I'm doing. I mean, that's
literally
so
what you're doing. I mean, she's literally like, you're gonna burn with oil.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that.
With oil.
Yeah, like because of like the photos and stuff that I post. She's like, like you're done.
Because
like,
of her OnlyFans.
You're
right?
so done.
So because of OnlyFans, she said you're gonna burn with oil in hell forever.
Wow.
Like,
forever.
Not even just fire, but burning,
oil.
Bubbly.
Yo, I was like, I told her, me probably too, right?
Oh, she was like, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done. You're so done.
Bro, it will be a crazy hell party.
Oh yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, you're a nightmare. You two getting together. You were a nightmare.
Yeah, we are a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, and also we were just talking about this the other day. She probably picked like what your mom like wants you like to marry. Like she picked like the opposite, like the most gringo, fucking white Austrian, fucking stripper ass, OnlyFans boy, his dick on Google and shit. I mean, literally the nightmare of your mom.
Yeah,
and think about it. If your mom had given just a little bit of slack here and there,
maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. You always like wonder like if just like this one thing like was different, you know, when I was like 15, 18, whatever, like if you let me go to that one party, you know, and like I already saw like something crazy there. yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. But also, I feel like with family, it's like even if you were exactly how they wanted you to be, they still like find something to complain about, and like they still find something to be wrong. So
Isn't that crazy?
yeah, it's like
Bro,
so weird. And we're always talking about this because we also have like just this insane like family drama constantly going on. And we were just talking about this at lunch that like we honestly feel like the only thing that sometimes like goes wrong is like the family, because you can't ever make them happy. And somehow they always like right when you think it's over, like it's not, because they like appear. And you're like, I thought it was done, but it's boom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here, bitch.
Yeah.
I know my mom used to be so sad about like all the like porn star stuff and like the songs and like explicit and nude. And then for a while I was just doing TikTok videos, and like everything was family friendly, and I thought like, wow, now they're gonna celebrate me, right? But like, no. It's just I don't know. I feel like sometimes when you're not yourself and you like dislike who you are, it's so hard to like somebody else. You know, that's why people are such haters online, because they hate themselves so much. There is no way you can look at somebody successful and appreciate them.
Right.
So it's just, I feel like for families especially, they have to find their own love and peace, and they always think that something else will give it to them. And we never had this problem until we had our child ourselves. Now that we're parents, they want to be in our life so bad. And now there's this whole thing going on, and nobody agrees with each other, and it's just craziness.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was like the same way for me. I mean, I was literally making like super family friendly like TikTok videos, but even then it was like, oh my God, like why are you breaking iPhones? Like, oh my God, like why do you have like money in your TikToks? And I'm like, okay, like nice video would be like a great thing to say. And then, now I'm just like comfortable in my body, and I post like a bikini photo, and they're like, oh my God, like you're done. You're so done. So I'm like, okay, what should I do, madame? Like
That's the thing, is like realizing that like no matter what you do, nobody's gonna all like be on board it. And especially like your family, they're always gonna potentially, if you have family like ours, apparently, they're gonna flip it to where there's always like something wrong, and it's just this bizarre like cyclical mindset that like keeps you stagnant, and keeps you debilitated, so that you can't do anything, you can't accomplish things that you want to do.
Yeah. And sometimes even if they're your family, you really have to make the choice and be like, you know what, I really have to separate myself.
Yeah.
Because I love myself, and I cannot like constantly accept this feedback.
Yeah.
Even if you're related.
Yeah. No, even if you're related. And what you were saying,
Especially when you're related.
what you were saying, like sometimes like you were born in a family, and then you like also make your own family and pick the people who are in your family.
Yeah. And I think the big lesson is that you can always only make yourself happy. You'll never, nothing what you make will make your family happy. So just stop trying and focus on yourself and live for yourself. Don't stop living for other people. Call it family, call it friends, call it society, church club. Live for yourself. Follow what you like and what you love and what makes you happy. And if everybody would do that, nobody had a problem with each other. Because if my family would be doing what they want to do, they'd be happy too. They would be like, yo, go for it. Yo, like, you guys are killing it.
Yeah.
I had a friend who recently was like, I'm going to like, she was like, I want to start living like more selfishly, basically. And I was like, honestly, that's beautiful. And I was like, we need to find another word for it, because selfish has like a bad connotation with it. But if you're happy and you're positive and the people around you, you're impacting positively, and and you're not hurting anybody, then this selfish lifestyle is really important to being fulfilled and happy, and you're gonna bring people along with you on that ride. And so we got to find another word for it, because it's really important, and it's not a negative thing at all to live for yourself.
I think like love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you truly love yourself, you have the power to uplift other people, compared to when you hate yourself, you just like bring everybody down. You complain to everybody. You want everybody to like be like, yeah, life sucks. Like we live in such dark times. Like, oh my God, everything sucks and is shitty, and like
We should be careful, or like just chill.
Yeah, but if you love yourself, you put the time in the gym, you eat healthy, you're so powerful, you will uplift people. And yeah, it's sometimes you have to draw a line with family for sure, and it's just crazy.
I know,
but
and this topic keeps coming
it
up.
keeps coming
in
up.
like almost every podcast that we've done so far. Like the family topic is a really, really big one, and I think that honestly, people just like don't talk about it enough because, like, obviously, one, they're probably scared.
Yeah, that the
their
family is
will
listening.
listen.
And also, we can take a lesson from that too, as far as like, okay, so we all like living loud and expressing ourselves, but we need to know how to accept people who are nice, wonderful, positive people, but who don't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like we need to go out of our way to not like, again, you don't have to look exactly like me for me to like be kind and be a nice person. I can't tell you how many friends of mine will be like, will have this like big secrets that they keep. Like even if it's just like, oh yeah, I hide my tattoos when I go home to my parents. I'm like, tattoos? I'm like, that's so basic. Like you literally can't tell your mom that you have a tattoo. I'm like, that's so sad. Like what would you, and I mean, my point is, don't be that mom. Don't be that type of person who like people are hiding things from you because you can't accept things. Something as basic as that, especially. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I also have to like watch that in myself. It's like not only am I open, I can't just be open to the things that I'm into. Like you have to be open to just people for being authentic and who they are. You know, and don't be the mom that you have to hide your tattoos from. Essentially, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially being parents and ourselves. I always wonder, probably our child will be like the most like chill,
Emo.
dressing all black, emo style.
You know it.
And yeah, because like
I know. We almost like maybe like when he's old enough to like tell, like we might like, I don't know, like switch it and turn emo and then maybe he'll be rainbow.
So he'll be rainbow. But also I kind of love that because it just
Yeah.
tells you so much about like how you said you need the other side, and then you can represent like the yin and yang and how everything in the world just has a opposite, and it's kind of beautiful. And like you said, like I don't need him to dress rainbow. I just want him to dress how he wants to dress and be aware of how he dresses and how influenced he is by everybody else. So, but it will be beautiful. But back to the topic, like, what makes you different to other people? You think you got this braveness in you, or what makes you like be you, and why do you think other people struggle with that?
I think, well, not to like, you know, hit the nail on the head again, but like I think it does have to do with that. I mean, maybe I had an exorbitant amount of repression. Like I mean, I remember like I was basically allowed to listen to classical music, jazz, the Beatles, and like maybe Elton John. Like these were like you know, like that was it as far as music. And like that's bottom of the barrel. Luckily though, I did get to listen to the Beatles and jazz. I feel like that's been a great influence. Like having that as like your core as far as a musician goes, that's been actually pretty nice. But
what about all your other friends that are still there? Like,
yeah.
do you think that they're all like, yeah, this is it? Or do you think that there's some people who are like, you know, actually maybe there's more to life than staying in Ohio and having a normal job? And
well, it's definitely easier
to
just stay put, and it's less scary, and it's more, you know, I think it's fear based. I think it's definitely just like the fear of the unknown. And
you were always just like taking the fear?
Yeah, I think, you know, have you ever heard this thing about people that have like head injuries early on? Will sometimes like all of a sudden they'll be the people who have motorcycles, and they're the people like, have you heard about this? There's like this thing that like and it, now as I'm thinking about it, like I had a really weird head injury when I was like a baby. When I was really young, I like cracked my head open on this thing. So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well as I think I just had everything working for me. You know what I mean? Like I had like the repression, I had the head injury, I had like all these things leaning towards like you're gonna be the wild child. But again, I don't want to just act like I just like figured it out. I was hook, line, and sinker with religion till I was fucking 24. Like that's pretty late. Yeah. And like when I say I was like I was capital R religious till I was 24. I wasn't just like kind of in it a little bit. I was like convicted, and I was like talking to people about it. Like I was like major cringe, you know? So it's like, I mean, I played worship music. I played worship music in a church, and they like all raised money and helped me move to LA. Like he's gonna go pursue his dreams, you know. Like, and like God bless them, right? They're amazing. Like that group of people was great. But like I was deep in it, so until I was late. So it's not like I just figured it out right away. You know, that's the other thing to point out.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's crazy. The backstory is insane. I mean, do you have siblings?
yeah. I have a sister. And
What do they think about it?
she's super supportive, and her husband, and I have 3 nieces, and like, and the nieces are a bit younger. So, but like my sister and my brother-in-law are, I feel like they never left, so they're still there. So it's like, man, they have to like live with the shit, and kind of like what you guys said you're going through with now, your parents wanting in on the kid. You know what I mean? And you have to like be like, okay, well, this is our life, and you can't be like teaching our kids weird shit, right? Like, I don't know if you guys are experiencing that at all, but that's what my sister was going through with her kids and my nieces, where it's like, and she just basically had to tell them, like, look, if my kids come home with any sort of like homophobic, weird, religious like stuff, like you're not gonna see them. Like she just had to like lay it on the line for them. So I'm sure like my parents are just biting their tongue, you know, just because they want to obviously hang out with my children or with my sister's children. But yeah, my sister and brother-in-law, they're great, supportive, and they're still, I think they still have a bit of religion like in their life, but like in a way that isn't negatively impacting people. It's like they like the community of it. They like the thoughtfulness that goes with religion, which I mean I think is great too. You know,
Yeah.
it's really just about.
I mean, religion has beautiful aspects, and there's so many beautiful rules too. Like love your next one like yourself, and I mean, there's a lot of good things and beautiful things and beautiful stories, but sometimes it just goes out of hand, and especially when it comes to being homophobic, and sometimes like it's just like it goes crazy.
Yeah.
Does like sexuality play a big role for you or no?
I think that I was obviously taught one very specific thing about sexuality, and so that was and like I had a lot of guilt and shame around sex and pornography and everything growing up, and that was something took a while to shake. I don't know if you guys had that as well, but like I remember being like deep into my 20s and well away from religion and still feeling guilt around sex and expressing yourself that way. So that's been a journey, but like now like I have an OnlyFans, and it's like, you know, it feels so good to express yourself that way and not give a fuck. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like we all have bodies, and no matter what you look like, somebody out there would be interested in paying to see it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just a beautiful thing that you could, if you want to, you can share that. You know what I mean? And so I've gone definitely down the rabbit hole of like, it's very fun to express yourself sexually, especially when you were so repressed for so long. It's really nice to just be like, yeah, wait, why do we care so much? You know, why do we give a fuck about that? It's so, again, it's that fear-based thing. I was gonna ask, kind of to shift. What do you think? Do you know like Joel Osteen and those like those like, they're like the televangelist type of preachers?
Wait, Joel Osteen. Sometimes I do listen to his.
Yeah.
The guy I
fall asleep.
The guy I always fall asleep to.
You fall asleep to-
His voice is
Yeah.
like, I don't know, something about his voice that when I can't sleep, I always
love that.
yeah.
I wonder if like these guys who are, you know, running these like huge churches and like clearly profiting from it, and profiting from like, you know, it's a tax-free organization, which is such a great loophole, right? And then they're obviously profiting from people like tithing to God. I want to know how much these guys are like diabolical and they know how much they're taking advantage of people, or if they're just so sucked into it themselves. You know, because like I really don't think, not many people think they're the bad guy in the story. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even like worst case scenario, right? Like someone like a Hitler, he didn't think he was like the bad guy, right? Which is really fucking scary. It's not like in a Batman where like, you know, or like, you know, Dr. Evil, like he knows he's evil, right? Like most people think they're the good guy in their own story, which is honestly more frightening than the guy, right? Like than the guy the guy that like knows he's evil. So I just always wondered about that with like the televangelist types. It's like, are they really just like robbing these poor people of their money under the guise that like they're going to go to heaven with it, and then they're driving around Cadillacs and living in mansions? Or do they know what? Or are they just sucked into it, and so they think they're just doing God's work?
I think they're dialed in, 100%. They think. Otherwise, I feel like people couldn't sleep at night and they couldn't go to work.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if everybody at Apple thinks about these African where they bolt out the things that they need for the lithium batteries.
Right.
If they would be like, oh my God, we're doing slave work every day, and they have that. No, they're like dialed in. They're like, Apple is the religion. Like, we love this. Like, and so does they think they bring so much peace and love and happiness to people that they should profit from it. I think they deserve it because they're the best at what they're doing. And it's kind of scary because then you like have to think and self-reflect on yourself. Maybe you're the bad guy and you're not aware of being the bad guy, right? Because that seems like nobody knows that they're the bad guy.
This is a great point.
So you need to be very self-aware and self-reflective.
Yeah, very self-reflective. We also always talk about this. I mean, even with the people in your life that like
maybe you're the bad guy.
Really think that they're like either the nicest people in the whole world or vice versa.
It's so crazy. Every time I tell a person you're not nice, they're like, no, I'm nice. They think they're nice, right? And I'm like, no, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look, you have one person in front of you telling you you're not nice, and they're like, no, everybody says I'm nice. I'm like, no, I'm literally here. I am telling you right now, I think you're not nice. And they're like, oh, but everybody says I'm nice. They have their story in their head, like you said, their perfect story where they're the nice person,
and nobody can change that. And especially I feel like when you do like get older, like, you know, our parents, like, I don't think that they can change,
right?
And they can't. I don't even know if like self-reflection is a thing,
right?
They just can't. Like, this is what I think. This like it's always like that, and that's why it's so tough because you want to like give these people a chance. You're like, okay, let's try again. And then you're like, oh, the same shit. Like, never mind.
Totally. And I think, honestly, like for our parents in particular, I think it would almost be more damaging at this point. Sometimes I think, like, if my parents had an awakening tomorrow, they're like, you know, I think late 60s or something. I mean, how kind of depressing would that be? If you really had that moment, you could probably find the positive in it. But, like, to be like 65 and realize like, wow, I've spent the last 40 years of my life like for this thing. So I think at this point, it might be better to not have that awakening for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but
it might, you know.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes we're like, I don't know, like we're like, you can start over. You can do it.
There's that too.
Right? And like sometimes like, like just move to LA, like start a new life. But you know, it's like they already have their mindset and their routine.
I always thought that like if my parents had separated, I feel like I could have like gotten to my parents have been together for, I don't know, 40 some years. I feel like I could have gotten to my mom because my mom was definitely like, you know, she was like a flight attendant for a while and would like travel all the time. And she lived in California and Florida. Like, you know, she was like a pretty free spirit for a while. And then eventually met my dad, and he was pretty hardcore on the religion. And I think together they just became melded and just became this like thing. And I always wondered, I was like, man, if they had separated, I think I could have got to my mom even late in life. I think I could have like switched her back, you know what I mean? But I don't think they're gonna get divorced or anything anytime soon. So, but yeah, I always wondered that.
It makes me so sad because there's so much. I mean, like. I don't know. I always thought like these like stories like religious was like so cool, and like there's so much like cool stuff about it, and like so magical, and like how he like made like blind people see, and like the 12 apostles, and like remember growing up as a child, like I was fascinated, and like and there's so much beauty about it, and that people make it so dark and sinister is really sad, I feel like.
Totally.
Yeah, like and also so strict, like how you said, like there's no understanding or like putting yourself in a different, like this different side, or seeing the world out of a different perspective. They don't even want to hear it, and they get so irritated, and it's always about like if you don't behave, almost like the Santa Claus kind of thing, you'll get punished.
Yeah.
So there's always punishment. And yeah, it's just, I feel like it's really sad, because like I don't believe that these stories have been put on the world to like bring bad things. I just think like humans just take it out of context and use it for their purpose.
Right.
And I think actually they're supposed to bring like happiness and purpose to people, because it does help a lot of people that are no purpose. They have no purpose, and God, like, it feels good to like live for something bigger than yourself. And yeah, just crazy what people do with these kind of things.
Totally.
Yeah. It
Man.
is a little crazy.
Yeah. So can you give us like some examples, like how, like I don't understand it, like how religion, like what would your parents tell you, or like, because I never grew up like this, and I never had somebody, it never happened to me, like
Yeah.
like how you dress, or when you came home and you were like, I want to wear like a pink outfit, or like what would be like, and they would be like, no, like you, like I get the whole OnlyFans thing. Where
Right.
like, okay, you're naked online, you'll burn in hell.
Right.
But that's like the first time I've heard something like that. My parents never told me I would burn in hell. And nobody ever told me I think I would burn in hell.
Yeah, let alone your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was just everywhere you turn, like the kind of music you want to listen to. You know, like I remember my dad would like read the lyrics to make sure the song didn't have any bad lyrics in it. And like we're not talking, I wasn't trying to listen to like the worst of the worst kind of music either. This is like, I'm trying to listen to like a Led Zeppelin song, you know, where like half of this is like based on like a book, you know. It's like a month.
We got a little
Likes
friend
the
over
fur.
here.
Yeah, like so like I feel like just no matter where I turned, the style of music, yeah, the type of clothes I would want to wear, the type of hair, and eventually I just caved in, because it was easier to get in line than try to resist, because like, you know, you're a kid, you can't resist like against like parents, you know, without completely rebelling. And they did a good job of like, they even went down to like the thing where like my dad was a math teacher at it was a Christian high school, so I went to a Christian high school, so like it's like I'd go to school with dad,
And
come
then
home with dad.
same.
There was never like, oh, take the bus, or like I was never having what they would call like worldly experience. I wasn't in a public school. I never had. It was like the bubble was so tight that you just never had experience, or like had even conversations with people that didn't have the exact same. We're just hitting the nail on the head with all these exact same belief systems. So it was kind of impossible. Like it was. I can't believe I got out sometimes. You know, I don't know how I did, honestly.
Man, yeah. The more we get into it, the more we're like, it's crazy that you're here.
Yeah, it's
today.
crazy. It's crazy. It is. Maybe I can give credit to like my high school girlfriend, who like was definitely a bad girl and was not religious and was like pretty out there, and you know, definitely like showed me the world a bit, you know, and like I have to give credit to her a little bit.
Do you ever get like called like gay?
I feel like I think a lot of people question that, you know, and they're curious, you know, and I feel like I'm definitely pansexual. It's been fun to like be open to anything, you know. I like people, and I'm attracted to all sorts of things, and it's so, and like I think it's beautiful to be in a place where you can just be that, where you can just live, and like as things come into your life, you can just kind of go with the flow and be attracted to whoever you want to be attracted to, and not, you know, be so. I mean, obviously, it's 2023. Like, you know, most people kids nowadays are just like, well, duh. You know what I mean? So
I know the new generation is crazy.
I know.
Because nobody on TikTok called me gay, but everybody from my hometown calls me gay and always called me gay.
Yeah.
And even when I was starting to date Baby J, I was still gay.
Yeah.
And then when I married her, still gay. Only when I got a child, they were like, okay,
all right.
maybe not gay, but still looks gay.
Right.
This is very
It's
interesting.
so funny, but I was like, if that is gay, then I want to look gay.
Yeah.
I want to look as gay as possible, as fucking gay as fuck.
Yeah.
I literally want to be the gayest fucking thing walking around. If that's what you consider gay,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what the fuck
Yeah.
is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And funny thing, when Baby J met me the first time, I was like in Hello Kitty like shorts, which I got pajamas that I got from Mexico for girls because I only shop in girl sections always because man section sucks. So I was wearing these blush, of course, and like my Hello Kitty PJs, and she didn't think I was gay.
I know. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't, or you thought, well, like, why are you not attracted to like the fuckboy?
Oh, I don't know. I just like never liked like really like manly, like really like just like toxic, like just super like like I don't know, I don't know, you had like really nice muscles and I was like, yeah, he's really cute. I like him.
You're like, he's got the look, but the sentiment, the mentality is completely different.
Yeah, and I knew there was like something different about him, and I think that's what like I was basing it off of, and your personality and just how cool you were. But just in general, I never would like any guy that was like, I don't know, playing football or something.
Wait, that's my thing. Like,
I played football.
Which is like, it's very like weird and interesting because like my mom would love for me to date like just like somebody like that, you know?
Yeah, very straight.
Yeah, like super straight.
just wear this, but just walk around with a football. You know, just,
Right.
It should be fine. It should be good enough.
I mean, it's just so crazy, like what is considered gay and what is not considered gay, or what is considered straight or masculine. I mean, because these things are so tight and such bubbles too, that I feel like, I mean, I love people that are not afraid to look like something they're like maybe not, or like not afraid to look gay, or not afraid to look whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just even saying this shit sounds like so stupid
Because it doesn't nowadays.
yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. Like there's some of the most masculine guys out there are gay as fuck. And
Exactly.
some of those
Makes no sense.
feminine guys in the world are straight as an arrow. So it's just like, it doesn't. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it shouldn't be about this. It should just be like, yo, like you put a mad effort, like you put makeup on. I know how difficult it is to have colored hair because
Right.
that shit always bleaches out.
Right.
I mean, at some point, it's just like more about like your creative like aspect and how you present yourself more than about your like sexual. Everything is about sexual orientation these days. It's so important. Like, are you gay? Are you straight? To define you, so they can put you in a box and they're like, oh, here's our gay artist.
Yeah.
You know, it would be so much easier to like be like, oh, these are our gay creators. Let's all celebrate the gay creators, because if they're just creators, then everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
is it a minority? Is it not? Do I have to feel bad for being straight and white? I mean, like at this point, like I am the worst, and
Right.
and it's just craziness. And I always felt this. I also love to confuse people. I guess this is my like provocative aspect. It's not like to be provocative, but to be like I like when you can't really grasp what I'm doing
sure.
and who I am. Like you can't, like what you said about the music genres. It's so cool when they're like, fuck, just listen to it, because I don't even know if it's rock and roll or pop or whatever. And I always love, like, people always want to put you in a box because it's easy to understand for them, because they're so basic. They know exactly like what they do and who they are, or they think. And so it's much easier if they can put you in a box, you're just like them. And they can be like, oh, we have our candy can here. But if you're undefinable, it's scary. It scares them. And I think that's the best part, because I always say I have no idea who I am, and I just find out on like a daily basis. Like you said, it took me like a long time to be Candy Can. It was not like one night I woke up and I just like put on this outfit. This took me years. And it slowly ramped up more to like a crazy extent level where you're like a 12. So I think the more you really experience and like give yourself a chance, the more you can become yourself or get close to that. Because like I always feel like we're never ourselves because everybody gotta make some money. We gotta work in this society. You gotta follow the rules of your body, which means like sleep and work out and drink water. You know, you can't be like a complete like I'm free. I stop eating.
Right.
No, we're very much restricted by physical aspects and societal aspects because otherwise you'll go to prison. So for me, it's just I can daily experience who I am, which is the funnest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that just talking about like experimenting and trying things out. I found that LA is great for that. Like when I moved here, like you said, where you can walk out dressed like this right now, no, literally, even the old lady isn't gonna bat an eye. You know what I mean? Like nobody gives a fuck, which is like this really nice like relief where you're just like, wow, okay, I can be super flashy and trying to get attention grabby. Like I can be dressed that way, but it doesn't really do it. And that there's like some kind of like freedom in that. You know what I mean? And so it was really fun to come out here and find myself here. It's a really beautiful. I almost went to New York, and I mean New York's New York's yeah. I feel like that's always the two, right? Yeah. And New York's a great place too. And I wonder, but I'm just glad I chose here because first of all I like warm weather, and also I instantly felt that like draw of just like. So what do you do? Like, oh, cool, yeah, cool. And like everybody's just doing their thing. Nobody gives a fuck. You know what I mean? And that was like a really nice.
I feel like it has two sides, because in Austria I felt more like energy, like sometimes. Here, like I sometimes like I forget because, like you said, nobody gonna turn no matter what you do, even if you pull your pants down on Walk of Fame, nobody cares.
Yeah.
They're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
No.
So sometimes I go to the gym and like I get a little bit comfortable almost. I get like a little lazy. So like I'm really happy now that we have this podcast. We were like ramping it back up. I'm like, yo, we gotta get fishnets. We gotta do this, that. We can't slack because in my hometown you get so every day it's all about this and you get the looks every day and I feel that need. I'm gonna dress up as fucking crazy as I can because I want to feel the looks and I want to feel that confrontation. And in LA I like you get into the working out smoothie everyone la 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 and sometimes you just want to be comfortable and putting all this shit on is mad uncomfortable. And sometimes it's just easier to wear like boxers and that's it.
I know.
And comfortability in how you look and even your mentality, it can kill creativity.
Yeah.
Big
and
time.
money too.
Yeah.
Once you are successful and you don't need to put so much work out there and you get the views and you know like it's crazy. So you need to really daily remind you. It's very disciplined. It's almost like working out. You need to be very disciplined with your appearance and your style to not slack, never slack. So we try to remind each other because we've been slacking before. And the crazy thing is you become a little bit boring. Everybody loves you a little bit more.
Yeah.
They're like, come to my side. Hey, it's really nice here. Hey, dress normal. We like you now. We like you now.
Yeah.
Because we did this whole Sigma transformation on TikTok where it was like a trend to be like in suits. And everybody, I when I stopped doing it, I lost like 100K followers, and it's just crazy that you got a daily fight for you, and not blend in.
Yeah,
it's really crazy like that. Man, all right, man. We want to know what's next in store. What do you got coming up? I want everybody to check out the music, Bonavega, because it's really at the music videos, everything's sick.
Thanks.
And you're the creative director. You have control.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Let everyone know what's coming next. What's in store for you?
Yeah, I have a lot of music coming out as well, and I'm in this place where I finish a thing and I put it out. You know what I mean? Like I've just been trying to pump it out and just get it to a place where I really like it and put it out. But yeah, I feel like Instagram, which is Bonavega Music, I feel like is a great place where I'm always posting my live shows. Obviously, my OnlyFans is a great, very, very specific channel. You can tap into.
A very supportive channel.
Very supportive.
Yeah, and what can they see on your OnlyFans? Let them know too.
You know what? if you've got a couple bucks in your pocket, you can see whatever you want. So
skip the Starbucks and head over there.
Exactly. Truly. So so I've got music coming, and I'm in the works of making a new. I have a live show right now called Animal Instinct, which is like our current kind of like rock opera that we're doing. I actually don't have anything booked right now, but I'm sure I will. I usually do like maybe like 2 shows a month. So, and I'll be posting that on my Instagram, but I'm also in the works of like making a new show and stuff too. So yeah, besides that, it's all, I am playing, Hard Rock in Vegas, October 8th.
Holy shit.
So that will be sick. I can't wait. I'm playing with this band called Gay CDC, and they're a gay AC/DC cover band. And it is like, it's amazing. They play every single note. They sound like AC/DC, but they just change some of the lyrics to make them a little extra gay. And it's like, it's hilarious. and they really like are a sick band. So yeah, we're both going out there to Hard Rock on October 8th. So that'll be great.
That is so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
It was amazing.
I got so much more respect now for you, especially what you've been through. It's crazy. It's crazy that you're here. It's crazy that you're doing you. It's crazy that you have taken so much courage and so much being so brave to do what you're doing. And I think it's such a beautiful story for everybody listening. And I hope everybody can take something with them and really, try a little harder to be themselves and try a little harder to not blend in. And I hope we can inspire much more people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I appreciate you having me, truly. And like both of you seem like such sweet people. And like I love being like really kind of weird, wacko people who are just genuinely nice, sweet, positive people. So it's been really nice meeting you too.
Yeah, likewise. It's been great. It's so cool.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody go check out Bonavega. And until next time.
See you next time. Bye.